Welcome back to the American Over, a podcast on cricket in the USA. My name is Neil.
And I'm Dhruv. Happy belated 4th of July from Neil in Philly and myself in Washington, D.C. Big America cities.
Oh, absolutely. So, speaking of freedom and your Washington freedom, let's talk about some of the matches last week. Washington had a fun match on Wednesday versus LA Knight Riders, inaugurating the brand new Pomona Stadium down in SoCal. So, how did that feel to you?
Man, it's just so fun to watch low scoring
Yeah.
thrillers.
Yeah.
Anything can happen. Netravalkar's 3 for 16 from 4 overs. Just wow.
Yeah. So,
Just wow.
here's the thing. LA Knight Riders got bowled out for 108. Extremely low score, by the way. Washington Freedom chased that to 110 and 17.1 overs. I kind of feel like that was kind of slow, right? Because you look at the standings, everyone is basically tied. Yesterday, everyone was tied at 6 points, 3 wins apiece. It's all going to come down to net run rate, which is how they're going to kind of adjudicate playoff seeding. You got to wonder, couldn't Washington have chased a little bit faster? Finish in 10, 12 overs. You have a nice, healthy NRR kind of margin that's going to push you up a seed or two.
I mean, that's the dream, dude. It's hard. It's
Mm.
hard to on a brand new pitch that's actually not even a drop in pitch. It's a natural pitch, right? You don't even know how to pace that innings.
Mm.
It's literally the first match at the stadium. I mean, look, let's actually just take a second to talk about the stadium. I think with a brand new pitch, it's always going to be a little bit tricky. You don't know how to evaluate it. It doesn't have a pedigree to go off of. For example, I was watching a match at Old Trafford yesterday in India versus England. Everyone knows that at Old Trafford, you're going to have extra bounce. You know that, like, if the boundaries are square, then that's going to be the shorter. The boundary at square is going to be shorter. You don't know those things about a completely brand new stadium like the one in Pomona. And of course, it gets even better, right? Shah Rukh Khan's Knight Riders franchise just built this stadium. It's open for the first time, and it's, in fact, this is something that's interesting. It's the first franchise to build their own stadium. I think this is going to be the future of cricket, to be really honest with you. Franchises are going to start to own stadiums, NFL style. But it's a sand pitch with some turf rolled in to manage bounce. And I think what happens in these types of new pitches is that you have to play there for it to settle in. The stadium just opened. There's no domestic, local cricket that's being played there. It just went straight to the LA Knight Riders, and the Freedom and the LA Knight Riders were the first to bat and bowl there. And so you're going to have unpredictability as the pitch settles in. And so, given all of these reasons, I actually think Washington did the smart thing. Win matters a lot more than net run rate, right?
That's
And if
true.
you
That's
can't,
true.
on a tricky pitch, if you feel like you aren't able to judge the pitch and you aren't able to pace your innings, you might as well play slow and just go for the win. And the pitch hasn't settled in yet, and so I think they made the right. I think they made the right choice. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's if you look at the kind of overall structure, right? So first leg of the season was in Dallas. That is also a purpose-built cricket stadium, but they'd had that for a couple of years. I think the Knight Riders have inherited it as their home stadium, but it's already been there, so they definitely know that stadium. That one, of course, as you said a couple weeks ago, absolute highway. But 200, 250 runs is
Mm-hmm.
pretty normal. Oakland, of course, being a baseball football stadium. Rest in peace to the Oakland teams, right? Uh, now SF has taken it over, but we've played a couple of seasons there, so we know that pitch. Pomona, of course, being absolutely new stadium. Exciting to see that they purpose-built stadium, real pitch. Like, that's awesome, right? This is what we need to look forward to as cricket goes on. I would hope to see if one day all 6 teams have their own home ground. So that's really cool. I think it's cool we got to see this, and we're coming up towards the end of that whole week out in Pomona, so we can talk about some more of the matches. Just going back to this one. You make a good point. Yeah, like the run rate was kind of going to be difficult here no matter what. In fact, both teams had pretty similar run rates. It's just that LA ran out of wickets faster, right? Like they got to 108 in 17.5 overs out of
Mm-hmm.
wickets, obviously. And then Washington Freedom got to that just about same total in 17.1 overs. So yeah, it's hard to say that Washington wasn't aggressive enough because they just kept the pace, right? And they just managed to avoid losing some of the wickets. In fact, bowlers on both sides, I would say, look pretty good. LA had Narine getting four overs, 25 runs, 2 wickets, pretty solid. Netravalkar, 16 for threes we discussed. Owen Mitch Owen, by the way, 19 for 3. This guy is
Yeah,
also, by the way, the top scorer still in MLC. So this guy is super, super versatile on both sides of the ball.
yeah.
Uh,
Mitch Owen is having an incredible,
love to
incredible
love to see
season.
it, honestly.
And I think he's the one holding the Freedom like together. To be
Yeah.
honest,
Oh,
like
absolutely.
you have Steve Smith continuing to pretend to be a T20 batter, like, but look on the pitch like this, hold dropping anchor like that. That was the right choice.
Yeah.
That was the right choice. And Mitch Owen maybe he doesn't have a great, batting match. He's a great bowling match.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. Owen, I think he got like one run or something yesterday off of 3. He's still the
Yep.
top scorer, right? So that shows how good of his season has been. I
Yep.
know you kind of rag on Smith, but hey, look, 40 off 44 yesterday, very good. Mark Chapman 34 off 30, Nikhil Chowdhury chipping in 15 off 12. And that's what we were talking about, right? Like in this case, it was just maintain a reasonable pace,
Yep.
just don't run out of wickets. And these guys managed to, maybe not have the best run rate in the world, but they preserve wickets. They had longevity. And this is, I think, a situation where a good test batsman, right? That's the skill set that they're going to bring, that they're going to need. So, hey, you know what? Steve Smith was the right man for the job.
Yeah, I think I completely agree with you. I think I completely agree with you. And look, like as long as you keep that innings going, you win the match.
Yeah.
Nothing else matters, dude. And look, it reminds me a lot. Honestly, I think it was quite similar to the match that they had yesterday.
Okay.
Even SF at Washington Freedom, right? Like SF came in with 126 right up top, and Washington chased it down relatively stably as far as we could tell, right? Even similar figures, right? Jack Edwards, who by the way, like a breakout match for him in my
Absolutely.
opinion, but 4 from 13, or 4 for 13, excuse me, just incredible figures. Washington, the last couple of these games, bowling really tight.
Absolutely. Netravalkar, a bit of an off night. 1 wicket, 31 runs off 4 over. I mean, not bad, right? His economy overall is 9.4, so he's been a little bit expensive. It's funny, he's I think everyone's favorite player, but his numbers haven't been fantastic. He does look good. He just hasn't played very much. I don't know if Oracle's doing layoffs or what, but we haven't seen much of him. He was
Don't
decent
jinx
though.
him, man.
I
Don't
okay, I
jinx him.
shouldn't. I shouldn't. He did well enough. Edwards looked great. Owen also, by the way, 4 overs, 25 runs, 1 wicket, still pretty solid. Very good
Yep.
performance for him. I think I think Washington Freedom, good bowling all around. It's funny, the number, we'll get to the numbers a little bit later. It doesn't really show it, but it manages to win the matches. So I'm kind of curious about the kind of gap we're seeing there. As for SF, man, like, my boy Lhuan'dre Pretorius, he didn't get liftoff last night. He just got
No.
16 off 12. And I think what you see is like either this guy will get 60, 70 runs and like we knew the match single-handedly, or he'll struggle. And then if Finn Allen doesn't really do much either, you're not going to do that well, right? So, I think when we talk about top heaviness, I would say it's probably SF is the worst defender there.
Yeah, we'll talk about this a little bit later, but I think you're totally right. Our read on TSK was actually wrong.
Yeah, they're actually better about
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah. No, I completely agree with you. I think the take here that I have is it's the same. If you're going to anchor, I think you want to anchor either after you're a couple down. So Short, I think that did the right thing, right? Came in and anchored and held the innings together. In fact, I mean, a quarter of the runs were, or actually a third of the runs of almost were from Matt Short. And then Steve Smith, right, plays the same thing. He
Yeah.
runs the same playbook, right? Anchors the inning, a run a ball 50. Mark Chapman, a run a ball 45, a little bit better than a run a ball 45. And here you are, right? Like just winning the match, chasing it down, not worrying about net run rate too much. Maybe they should have, but the win matters more.
This has really been this ground has been fantastic for chases. It seems. Here's another one: LA Knight Riders and MI New York. So LA Knight Riders
Yeah.
165 for 6. Mumbai Indians chase it down. Sorry, my New York, right? Is what we call it. They chased it down, got 168 for 4, and they won off the penultimate ball. It was a tough chase. They were staring down 51 needed off of 24, but then Kyron Pollard comes in, just has very good, consistent innings with Corey Anderson. Last couple overs, 19, 13, 10, and 11. So, not panicking, not slowing down, not losing wickets. Just good disciplined batting at the death, just to chase it down. So I thought it was really, really good. What do you think? Why are we getting so many good chases on this ground?
Honestly, I don't know. I think it's I think it's because what we were talking about earlier, right? Like you have a tough pitch to
Yep.
bat on. It hasn't settled in yet. Variable bounce, unpredictable gripping, right? And so if you try to be too aggressive, it could just backfire,
Yeah.
right? Like if you're gunning for that net run rate advantage, I don't. It's just not worth it
Yeah.
if you risk losing, right? Like I think that's my take on this.
Yeah.
And so I think like the fundamental here is that the fundamental thing is like all of these successful chases have lost fewer wickets
Yes.
because people are choosing to not take as many risks. They're able to evaluate what the pitch looks like in the first innings and then, kind of go through it. I actually think MI New York didn't do that.
Hmm.
And I think they decided to take a little bit more of an aggressive approach. They won it just on the last ball. Like
Yeah.
the pitch may have been settling in a little bit because like you've seen a couple of higher scoring matches here now over the last few days. Even LA, like 165 is like a decent score, and MI New York only. I mean, they made it on the penultimate ball, and so much of that was because Paulie said, "Screw it, I'm going
Yeah.
to make a swing of the fences." Um, I think that I think that as the pitch settles in a little bit, it's going to get a little bit easier to bat on. It's going to get a little bit flatter. It's going to get a little bit more predictable, or people are going to understand it. And it looks like Paulie did, and I mean, just incredible score, in incredible batting.
I mean, we talk about the pitch settling in over time, but remember, we have this, as I call it, the traveling circus model. I think today is probably the last match being held in SoCal. Then we go back to
Yep.
Dallas and we go to Oakland. So we're never coming back here, at least not this season. So it's one of those things where, okay, if it can settle in over the course of, let's say, 2 or 3 matches, kind of people get used to it. Okay, that's something that you'll kind of see evolution on, but you're not going to see the pitch, the same way as Old Trafford did or whatever, right? It'll evolve over the course of months. Well, the season happens too fast for that.
Yeah,
So
but I mean, it also like it matters how the bowling team bowls. It
yes,
also matters like whether you're able to evaluate it, right? Like QDK got out for a 5 ball duck in this match, and then Purin got out for 16 off 23, right? Because for both of these guys, the new ball was gripping, and right like around the power play, right? The ball was gripping, and they like weren't able to either of them weren't able to middle the ball, right? Like QDK got off on an edge, and Nicholas Purin got out because the ball was kind of hitting the top of his bat, so went straight to the fielder. Whereas Paulie comes in, sees that, and is just middling the ball. And I think like as the match progresses, this is our understanding of those pitches, where it's going to grip, what lengths at which it's going to grip, right? It looks like both Purin and Paulie, not Paulie, QDK got out at a 3/4 length ball, right? Both, and so like okay, that means that like something wider and something shorter, or excuse me, something fuller is going to grip more, and so like at that length and at that width, okay, great, like that's going to be more complicated for these guys for these guys to bat on. So you start to get a better understanding of like, okay, what shots can I hit on this ground,
yes.
what lengths are like in my slot versus like not, and start to make that a little bit easier.
Yeah, speaking of bowlers adapting, bit of a tale of two cities going on here with some of the bowlers. Look at this. Sunil Narine, 4 overs, 7 runs. That is not a typo. 7 off 4 is crazy. And then Jason
Wow.
Holder is 47 off of 4. He gets a wicket for his trouble. But, I think we got to give Narine his flowers, right? Maybe not taking a wicket, but slow him down. I guess it wasn't enough. But he did manage to slow him down. Holder, I mean, these are complete different approaches here, right? Very, very different outcomes.
I mean, Sunil Narine is just an animal.
He's been
Right?
fantastic,
He's just a
especially
legend.
last. Yeah.
Just a legend of the game. And like I think the spin matters, right? Like spin versus pace matters. Like spin was probably just gripping more
Yeah.
than pace.
Yeah, so talking about chases, right? So we had 2 other good chases this week. So Texas Super Kings put up 173. LA Knight Riders got 175 to win it. Roman Powell came in and got 73 off of 27. So absolutely insane. Awesome chase. We've seen a lot of these really, really good chases this week, anchored by, often one player just going absolutely nuts. Speaking of that, Pretorius had his time in the sun. So SF chased down 190, which is a very good total on the surface, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
They chased down 190. They got 193 off of just 15 overs. So there you go. There's your NRR boost right
Insane.
there.
Yeah.
Pretorius 66 off 26. Allen 45 off of 18. Just really good aggression all around.
Yeah, I mean, if SF has Finn Allen, Pretorius, and Matt Short go off, game's done.
Yeah.
Game's done. And in this case, you had Aaron Hardy go off too. Like, just like game's done in those cases, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
Okay, so moving on from the matches, there was an interesting point. I was looking yesterday, right? And all of the teams were on 6 points, 3 wins.
Yeah.
We talked last week about parity. We really got parity. Now we have some teams on 8 now, but really incredible, right? And as I said, we're going to come down to NRR. Why don't we talk a bit about some of the teams? I put together a couple of numbers about kind of how the teams look statistically. I think we can talk about the qualitative look too. So let's look at the top 20. I went to the top 20 scores. Well, I broke it down by the teams. So why don't we go through any interesting patterns you see there in terms of which teams seem to have the best and deepest batting lineups?
Man, we were so wrong about Texas Super Kings.
Oh, seriously, man.
We were so wrong. I didn't expect Mukamala to really come out the way he did. Faf, I'm not surprised, but Riley Rousseau, Donovan Ferreira, Leon Mulder, like I'm just surprised, honestly surprised by how well the South Africans are playing right now at TSK. I really thought they were top heavy. I thought they weren't going to have that middle order, but frankly, they have the strongest middle order.
Yeah. So in terms of methodology, I put together top scores, top 20 scores, broke it down by team. As you mentioned, TSK is 5, which is the most of any team. Mukamala's at number 5, which is cool. I was like, I hadn't heard of this guy. This guy's doing very well for himself.
Mm-hmm.
Old Man Faf at number 8, and then as you said, I think a good middle order goes a long way. These guys have Leon Mulder, 17th highest scorer, Rousseau number 18, and Ferreira number 20. And that goes a long way. And yeah, it's the exact opposite of the top heaviness we discussed. But that's the joy of this kind of franchise cricket is these guys who maybe haven't got as much recognition as they deserve can show themselves making a good team. South Africa's future looks pretty good. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And you have Washington doing the same thing with a bunch of Aussies, right? Mitch Owen, Steve Smith. And then, I think you have some sleepers in here, right? Like Seattle, surprisingly decent, right? Surprisingly decent. Seifert, as we expected, but Jahangir is playing a season of a lifetime over here, which I'm really impressed by. Then you've got a couple of these, like, am I New York, right? You were making a comment earlier, like cause for concern. What do you think?
Yeah, so Freedom have 4 of the top 20. LA Knight Riders have 3. Seattle has 3. MI New York has 3. SF has 2. We'll talk about them in a sec. Yeah, MI, I don't know, man. Like the only top 10 guy is Purin. He's at number 9. So they have the lowest ranked top scorer, so to speak. Mm-hmm. They also have, they have Pollard and they have QDK. Pollard, despite not being in the top, I mean, this guy is, obviously a monster in terms of chasing. Yep. QDK may be a little bit disappointing, but I mean, look, you got those guys. Any total seems chaseable, and I think they are on top of the table right now. So maybe not as much cause for concern, but the numbers sort of make it look a little bit weird, right? This also is kind of maybe one of those situations where these guys can chase something down very well, but if they struggle, there's not really much else to go off of.
No.
But if the other guys can kind of keep them in the game till let's say 14, 15 overs, then Pollard, Purin come in and finish it off. But there's not much depth there, so that is something to be concerned about. Seattle, Seifert is at number 3. Jahangir is number 6 in terms of run scores. That's pretty impressive. We knew that their top 3, Seifert, Jahangir, and Britska, were pretty good. Numbers back it up. Talk about SF, man. So SF only has 2 of the top 20 scorers. That is the least of any team. Pretorius is the number 2 top scorer. Fantastic. And they got nothing else. They got Matt Short at 14. That's it. Fan Allen, I don't think is anywhere to be seen. Yeah,
maybe SF was the real top heavy team.
Seriously, yeah. And it's Lhuan'dre Pretorius, 20-year-old kid who is the the heaviness of the top.
Yep. Finn Allen isn't really coming off.
No.
And look, you aren't like Matt Short, I guess, but I mean, I'm looking at their middle order, and honestly, maybe we should have guessed this from the beginning. Like, just not seeing depth, just not seeing that much depth.
So, Dhruv, if you had to pick one of these 6 teams batting lineups to have, would you have like one of the teams that has, let's say, a couple of top 7 guys, or let's say TSK, who has a bunch of good guys down the middle order? What would you say?
Mhm. I think I'm between. Uh, oh man, look. So you could go with Seattle, right? With the heavy hitting top order, with Seifert and Bretsky and that kind of background. You could go with TSK, where the top order is doing decent, but the middle order is really covering and really covering some ground. You could go with Washington, where you've got Mitch Owen and all of these guys, batting aggressively and number one, Steve Smith anchoring as needed, House right playing always pretty consistent, great middle overs. I don't. I'm struggling, man. I think the MLC has done a great job just balancing these teams out pretty well. I'm struggling. I'm struggling. I know who you're going to go for though.
You think I'd pick Pretorius?
Yeah,
The
you're going to pick
Pretorius show?
Pretorius.
I don't know, man. I actually this is one of the interesting things about this model we have, right? Like Steve
Mhm.
Smith looks really bad out in Texas. He looks terrific down in Pomona. So,
Yeah.
I think Oakland, which is where the finals and the playoffs are going to be, somewhere in the middle. So we'd have to kind of see who's going to do well there. I might take Washington, man.
Yeah.
Chapman, Smith. I think look, Smith, fantastic batsman. If he knows he has to pick it up, he can. You know, he's such a veteran. He'll figure something out. Owen, top scorer, looks fantastic. Mark Chapman, I kind of liked in the beginning. Uh, SF, look, I'll tell you this much. I'll look at the first 5 overs and tell you of the chase, or the first innings as it may be with Pretorius, and I'll tell you how the game's going to go. Right? That's kind of your answer right there. All right, let's look at the bowling side of the ball. So I looked at top 20 bowlers by economy, and then I also took the top 20-ish based on wickets. So economy wise, it's kind of it's pretty even. SF actually has 5 guys with
Mhm.
which is the most in top 20 economy. Washington Freedom actually has the fewest at 2. Netravalkar is nowhere to be seen, by the way, at 9.40 economy. Their best guys are Chowdhury and Holland.
Mhm.
Other teams are kind of in between. Texas Super Kings actually have good contribution. They're number 2. They have 4 guys in the top 20. Ferreira, Lumba, Milani, De Silva. So pretty cool. I think pretty well-rounded lineup. LA Knight Riders has Narine, who's awesome. Yeah, and then let's just looking at wickets. Other thing is, dude, Seattle Orcas we have 3 of the top 5 wicket takers. By the way,
Crazy.
Singh is at 14. Otniel Bartman has 13, and Marcus Stoinis has 10. So they have the top 2 and 3 of the top 5, and 5 of the
Mhm.
top 22. So totally lethal lineup, man.
Insane bowling lineup.
Absolutely
Insane
insane.
bowling lineup. Absolutely agree with you. Insane bowling lineup. Am I New York? I think some of their bowling isn't really coming off the way that like we were hoping it would, right? Like, and I think some of that is because Corbin Bosch is having a great season, but Romario Shepherd, Trent Bolt, maybe less so. And then Sunil Narine, man, what do you say about
Oh, he's
him?
awesome, man. He's awesome.
Yeah, what do you say about him? That hasn't already been said, but yeah, I mean, I think if you just look at the bowling lineups, like it's hard to say anything outside of. I feel like Seattle is the most well-rounded depth so far. What do you think?
Yeah. What's funny is that Washington, they look a lot better than the stats say. So they have the fewest bowlers in the top 20 in terms of economy, and the second fewest in the top in terms of wickets. Again, Netravalkar is nowhere to be seen on either of those lists. He hasn't played that much, I guess. Um, so that doesn't look as good. SF kind of middle of the road. Texas Super Kings are weird, where they have reasonably good economy, but they're not taking that many wickets. Uh, so it's a little bit unusual. MI New York, I think, is kind of in the middle. LA Knight Riders kind of in the middle. Narayan and all kind of decent. I probably would take Seattle Orcas in terms of this lineup, man. Like at
Yeah,
3 of the top 5. I mean, what else are you gonna say, man?
that's. I think that's right. I think that's right. And look, like we'll see how this all plays out. Right now, it's really hard to tell. The table, as you said, is
Yeah.
all completely balanced. So we'll see what ends up happening.
So okay, so speaking of bowling, where
Mhm.
the heck is Ravichandran Ashwin? This guy was an SF Unicorns. I think he bowled 1 match, 2 overs, 24 runs. That line will be etched in my brain forever. Where is this guy? Like he hasn't bowled at all.
Okay, so I just saw an interview of his online
Okay.
on his YouTube channel, and it turns out there were two interviews. One of them was in Hindi, the other one was in Tamil, which I didn't understand. But
Okay.
it turns out he's not here to play. He's played one match, but what he's really here to do is I cannot believe I'm about to say this. He's here to build San Francisco Unicorns AI model so that they can use real-time pitch data and historical information to manage their team both prior to the match to select lineups and in real time to help the captain select bowlers and the coaches and whatnot to help even suggest line and length and shot selection and all of that. Cannot believe it. I
Wait,
cannot.
hold on. You're telling me that the SF team is trying to be an AI powered cricket team. This is terminal San Francisco brain. Look, what do I expect for throwing in my lot with the San Francisco Unicorns? Of course, it's going to be the AI team, right? Um, uh, hey, you know what? If it works for them, it works. But that's great. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I wish we had some more baseball, man.
Look, it's cool that he's here, man.
Yeah,
It's cool that he's here. It's cool that he's doing that. If I were him and I were retired and like have a technical stat minded brain like he
yeah.
does, maybe I'd be doing the same thing.
You know, if it works for them, then this could be Moneyball.
It could
This
be Moneyball.
I mean, Moneyball is kind of the earlier incarnation of this. So if people can bring Moneyball to cricket, I mean, hey, that sounds great. We
Moneyball
haven't seen many
2.0.
other players missing, though, have we?
No.
There's a test series, New Zealand, England, no one missing. Sri Lanka, West Indies, not many Sri Lankan players out here, but no one really missing, right? Although I guess these are tests, right? So you're going to get a different squads.
Yeah, I do think that that's true. I mean, there's the India versus England T20 series, and so you don't really have many of those English players here either. But I mean, it's the English summer, so those folks are playing county cricket. Those folks are playing the hundred. Like they're not coming over here anyway. I think if you had West Indies, Australia, South Africa, New Zealand, like those are the primary sources for
Yes.
American cricket. Anyway, if they had some T20 series or something going on, you might see them prioritize international cricket bilaterals over the MLC. I mean, at the end of the day, here's what I think is going to happen, right? I think just like the IPL, where everybody plans out their
Yeah.
entire international calendar around that, I think we're going to see people down the line playing around other franchise leagues, and you're going to see the franchise leagues kind of slot in
Yes.
a little bit more naturally over the rest of the year. This year, like people I think aren't really planning around the MLC, but we probably see that more in the future.
Well, I don't know if they didn't plan around it, but I mean, we haven't really seen that many players missing from West Indies, Australia, South
That's true.
Africa, New Zealand, right? So they
That's true.
haven't really done that much. The national teams haven't done that much this summer. It's also kind of a function of MLC tends to play during a dead period anyway, right? Which is say
Mhm.
northern summer, southern
Mhm.
winter. So
Mhm.
they timed it pretty well, right? Like you got to give some credit to the guys who decided on the timing of the season. So
Yeah,
for whatever reason, it's worked out well. I do think we will see some more intentional planning around it. But hey, you know what? Even now, it worked out pretty well.
yeah. But it's the Aussie winner, right? And I think that's why you see Aussie and South African winner. So I
Yeah,
think that's why you see a ton of those players here. And then for the West Indies, it's good practice for the CPL coming up.
totally. All right, so to wrap up, Drew, you found some cool news about the future of the MLC. You want to talk about it?
I was shocked, but it sounds like Chicago and Toronto are getting some new teams in the next couple of years. I'm really excited. I think an 8-team table is going to look real good. More matches, more maybe even more stadiums. What do you think, Neil?
Yeah, I think during the off season we can talk a little bit about kind of the business because I've studied a lot of
Mhm.
baseball, football, other kinds of minor kind of alternative leagues. There's a lot of considerations you got to keep in mind when it comes into how do you expand, how do you keep yourself financially sustainable. So we'll talk about that at a later date. I'll say this right now. I think MLC showed really good discipline by just kind of focus on having 6 teams, staying small for the first 4 seasons. Focus on I don't know the financials, but I mean, so far it seems good. They seem to have pretty deep pocketed investors. Half of them being, of course,
Yeah,
half of them are Indo-American billionaires. Half of them are literal IPL teams. So they have plenty of funds to kind of keep going for a little while. And I think the fact they managed to stay good, stay stable, right? If anything, they've expanded in a sense with kind of new cricket stadiums. So far, it's looked really good. These two teams, I hope they're on good footing, but I assume they're going to have a similar setup of local rich guys or the IPL. So that looks really good. I think the question that remains to be seen is, are they going to get a home stadium? It's funny, if you'd asked me before in terms of which cities would be most likely to get an expansion, one, I would have wanted Philadelphia just because I'm a homer. But there's plenty of Indians out here. That's all I'm saying. I would have expected one down in North Carolina because they have that stadium out there. They're not using it right now. And I would have expected Florida. I mean, there's not as many Indians in either of those places. There's some in North Carolina at least, but I would have thought they would have built around the stadiums that they had. But the fact that they're choosing Chicago and Toronto, both of them being huge centers for the South Asian diaspora, who was probably powering a lot of this, I think that shows you that their strategy is focused, less around let's go where the stadiums are, and more toward let's go where the fan base is, let's go where the followers are. I think breaking to Canada is a great idea. This kind of heads off any potential of there being a Canadian T20 league, right? The kind of expanding, kind of absorbing that. So that sounds great. Those are two very realistic places to go. I mean, look, now you got, of the top metro areas in America, right? You got New York, you got LA, you got Chicago, you got DMV, you got DFW, you got you'll have the Bay Area. You got pretty much all of them. So I think it's a great move on their part, and it is interesting to see that they're not focusing as much on home stadiums. I think it's going to take us a couple more years to see teams playing at the home stadiums. I think we'll keep seeing the traveling circus model, which again, I actually have kind of come around on. We'll talk about that again a different date. Mm-hmm. I think we'll see the same model, but I just think expansion is going to keep on being good in terms of getting more followers.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I'm not sure exactly how they'll compete with the Global T20 Canada League that does exist.
Yeah.
But that league also feels like it's a little bit in flux.
Yeah.
Like they skipped a couple years.
Yeah, exactly.
Not super clear what's going on. Ownership change. So I think moving the MLC, which seems to be a stable, as you said, stable, consistent model, even if it's not fully profitable yet, I think it makes a ton of sense. Especially where the GT20 league feels a little bit more like a retirement league. Well, you have Raj Singh playing in it. Come on, guys. So we'll see how that actually turns out. But I'm excited. I think these are two great places to have some stadiums, have some teams, and we'll see where the MLC goes next year.
Yeah. Well, Drew, I'm looking forward to another good week of cricket, and see you again next week, man.
Over and out.
Over and out.